Hello and welcome back to the Infinite Soul Love 1111 YouTube channel. I know it's been a bit, but I have been guided now to send this message out to you. So know that if you are guided to listen to this message, that this is in fact something that is really important for you to hear. I love the fact that our angels and guides will guide us to the right information at exactly the right time. Today's video is actually about 5D communication. And you might be wondering what it is. You may have heard about 5D communication, but maybe you don't quite understand exactly what that means. And I'm here to give you some really good information about how you can communicate with another person in the 5D, as well as what happens when you are able to communicate. Especially if you are on the twin flame journey, you most likely have heard this term before. But what a lot of people don't actually realize is that you can communicate in the 5D with pretty much anyone. It just depends on how their energy is matching up with your energy, as well as what kind of energy they are in. So let's start at the beginning. What exactly is 5D anyway? So 5D is essentially your higher self. And if you want to think of it as a tiered approach, so 3D is our physical selves. And we can look at the various different levels in terms of how far the energy is from this 3D density. Thinking about the divine, God, the universe, whatever you would like to call it, obviously, God and the universe is all-knowing. The universe knows exactly what's going to happen, all the different timelines and trajectories, all the different possibilities of a potential outcome. They can see the big picture. They can see everything that is potentially going to happen. The next level would be angels, or what I consider to be angels. People may call them different things, but I have always been told that they are angels. So in that realm, you have the archangels as well as your own personal angels that are assigned to you at birth. Your angels are also all-knowing, just like the divine. The only difference is they can have an effect on this physical world. As long as you give them permission, they will be able to help you on this earth plane in your day-to-day life. So that is the biggest difference between the universe, God, the divine, as well as your angels. And the next level, as we get closer to the density of earth, are your spirit guides. And your spirit guides are people who have crossed over and who have decided to stay on the other side in order to help you with a particular issue, or maybe they have decided to help with a global issue. There are various different sort of jobs that they have decided to get involved with for a period of time before they incarnate again. Your spirit guides are simply on a soul level. They don't have the density of this 3D world, so they are able to actually have an effect on things that happen in this world. And again, it's very similar to angels, where they cannot affect change on this planet unless they are explicitly given permission. The next would be your soul, or what it's called as your oversoul. It is your soul that is attached and affected by this 3D self that you have. Your soul knows the trajectories of your lifetime. It knows your soul purpose. It knows everything that you need to know about this lifetime, as well as every other lifetime you have ever had. Now, we can access our soul in various different ways, but most of the time when we are accessing our intuition and our guidance, we are actually accessing our higher self, which is sort of in between our 3D selves and our soul. If you can imagine an energy field that is standing off your physical body, that is roughly 3 feet or 1 meter from your entire body. Now, because your higher self is so fully integrated energetically into your 3D body, it is 100% affected by your physical self. When you have your intuition, you have these little knowings that go on, this is where it's coming from. Because your higher self can have a direct effect on your feelings, on your moods, the way that you interact with other people, and vice versa. Your 3D physical body can also affect your higher self. And this is where we start talking about 5D communication. So when we're talking about higher self, that is 5D. It is also often referred to as the 5th dimension. And if the word dimension doesn't resonate for you, it's totally fine. It is simply a terminology to help us understand how the various different dimensions of energy works. So if you can imagine, our bodies are 3D, time is 4D, 5D is your higher self, 6D is your actual soul, and so on and so forth until you get to the divine. If you are already familiar with connecting with your higher self, then you understand that this is the intuition part of you. This is the part of you that you connect with if you use a pendulum, for example, to help you make the right decisions for your right life path. There are various different ways that you can communicate and connect with your higher self. The biggest caveat that I want to say is that if you are in a lower energy, so if you are in sadness or grief or fear, then your higher self is also going to be affected by those energies. When you communicate with somebody else in the 5D who is in lower energies, it is very likely that you may not be able to hear anything from them. You might not be able to communicate. Now, that doesn't mean that you communicating with them in the 5D has no effect, because it actually does. What happens when you communicate with somebody who is in lower energies and you're not able to have a free-flowing conversation with them in meditation, in your higher self, it is because they are not connected to their higher self. They are almost separate from, as well as their higher self is feeling that lower energy from the 3D body. This has happened to me at times when I have connected to my twin flame. There was a really long time where I would try to connect with him in the 5D, and it actually wouldn't work. I wouldn't hear anything from him. I would just see maybe an image of him being in grief or despair. And that was it. There was no actual communication. What I didn't understand at that time, though, was I could have sent him love. I could have sent him compassion and strength, but I didn't know that that was something that I could do. Essentially, whenever I would go into the 5D to try to talk to him and I would see pretty much just that single image, or I would only see very small messages, I just assumed that maybe, our 5D communication wasn't something that was going to happen. It wasn't until recently when I was having a session with a client of mine that I discovered that even though the other person may be in lower energies, they can still receive unconditional love and acceptance. And likewise, if you're angry with them, they will also feel that anger. They will feel that resentment. They will feel all of those feelings. If you are communicating with them in the 5D and you are frustrated and you're expressing those frustrations, they will also feel that. And if they are already in a lower energy, it will just compound that lower energy and send them deeper into whatever lower emotion they are in. This is why it is incredibly important, especially in a twin flame connection, but this is for literally any 5D communication, that you need to be in a high level of energy. You need to be in love, in joy, in happiness, all of those beautiful, yummy emotions. You have to be in those emotions in order to successfully connect with your twin flame and have it help them. Because if you connect with them when you are not in those energies, you are simply delaying the process of healing in both you and your twin on the higher planes. The one thing to keep in mind is that energy doesn't lie. So you cannot fake it. You can't say, "Oh yes, I'm happy and I'm doing just great and I'm sending love." It doesn't quite work that way, because your energy is almost screaming off your body whatever energy you happen to be in. So if you are not legitimately feeling unconditional love for your twin and you connect with them in the 5D, their higher self is going to feel it. It has to be genuine. You have to be in a very good place energetically. And if you're not in a good place energetically, it is okay to almost disconnect and take some time for yourself. One of the things that my angels have told me is that my twin and I would have been in union much sooner had I gotten into that place of pure unconditional love and compassion a lot sooner, which our paths are always what they are. It took me however long it took me, and that's fine. But because I didn't connect with him in the 5D, it was almost as if I was running away from him. And I didn't realize that that's what it was doing. I realized that connecting with him in the 5D was actually going to help him in his decision-making process, help him learn his lessons, and help him have the support he needed in the 5D in order to go through the process of what he needs to do a lot quicker. It was then after I realized that this was a possibility that this can be utilized for any relationship that you have. If you have a damaged relationship with a friend or with family members, you can actually start to communicate with them in 5D, send them forgiveness, send them love, send them joy and happiness. If you are in that space yourself, you can absolutely do that to start to heal some of the relationships that you have in your life. I encourage you to try this with people that you have in your life to see if it does change the interactions that you have with this person, because I can almost guarantee that it will little by little start to chip away at whatever resentments or whatever challenges you may have had with these different people. Now, like I said, it is going to be difficult if the other person is in a lower energy, if they are in pain or grief or jealousy, hatred, anger, hurt, anything like that. It is going to be more difficult to connect with them in the 5D. It is also more difficult to contact somebody who isn't connected to you, like a twin flame or like a soulmate, somebody who is potentially in your soul family. There are various different levels of connection that we have on this planet. And if there is somebody who we're not really connected to, maybe we've never had a past life with them, then likely it's going to be a little bit more difficult to connect with them, but it is still possible. For those of you twin flames who are still in separation, I would highly encourage you to try this technique of 5D communication with somebody that you're close to, whether it's a really good friend or a family member. Just try the 5D communication and see how it goes. You can start seeing the results, especially if it's somebody that you're connected to, that you are in a really long relationship with, such as a sibling, a parent, a best friend, somebody you've known for a really long time, and then maybe talk to them about it. If they're open to this type of communication, you can actually have a conversation with them in the 3D and say, okay, hey, look, I want to try this. Can we do some 5D communication together and maybe set up a time to meditate together, do some 5D communication, and then write down what comes from it? That will give you the confidence that what you are seeing is actually real. Because the problem that we have in the twin flame community sometimes is that the 5D communication with a twin who is completely radio silent, or they're not communicating with you in the 3D at all, it's almost impossible to see what the results are and to see that it is actually working. Try it with a friend, try it with somebody else, so you can actually start to gain the confidence that you need within yourself and trusting your higher self and where it is taking you. I have gotten questions from clients in the past in regards to your higher self. And one of the questions was really beautiful because it gave me some answers through a channeled message. The question was, if our higher self is pretty much all-knowing, then how can it be affected by lower energies and grief and pain and all of those things? And so I asked my angels, and they gave me this answer. Essentially, how it works is because our higher self is so close to our 3D bodies, it is super affected by our emotions and by the things that we are transmuting and going through. It is here to help us with that transmutation of energy. And when you are going through those changes, those transmutations, it is difficult for your higher self to stay in that higher energy. That is what your soul is there for. Your soul is there to keep you in that higher vibration. And your higher self is there to help bridge that gap between transmutation and the higher energies. If you are feeling really, really off kilter, you're not feeling like your energy is really great, then that is probably not the time to go into a meditation and do some 5D communication with somebody. It is also not the time to do any sort of divination, so tarot cards, pendulums, anything like that. Going into meditation when you are in those states is simply for you to balance your energy and start listening to the messages that your angels are trying to give to you. They will guide you in a way that will help you out of this energy. If you think about it in terms of your higher self is always going to work for you. It's always trying to help you and raise you out of lower energies, even if it is embodying those lower energies to help you transmute them. So I hope that gives you a little bit more clarity on why sometimes you feel like your higher self might be guiding you in a way that is not down the correct path. And that is simply because your 3D self, your emotions, your ego, they are all having an effect on your intuition. And so just as you might feel super cloudy and unsure about your intuition when you are in those lower energies, your higher self is just as clouded. And it is not because your higher self and your soul can be clouded in that way. It's almost as if you think about Pigpen from the Peanuts gang, you know, his cloud of dirt as he was walking is just extending off of his body. And that's kind of what it's like. It's your energy field. If it is clouded, if it is in lower energies, that energy field is going to extend beyond your body and it's going to encapsulate your higher self, making it much more cloudy, making it much more difficult for your higher self to see into the higher realms. This is why specifically and especially with the twin flame journey, It is super important to do your energy work. It is super important to clear any of the energies that you have from the past, from past lives, from anything that no longer serves you. You really do need to go through that process in order to be in a clear and higher energy in order to connect with your twin flame. And this goes with pretty much any other connection that you have in this universe. If you are wanting to connect with somebody who is a soulmate, if you are wanting to connect with somebody who is dear to you, connecting with them on a heart-centered level will need to be done with clear energy. That is simply the process if you want to evolve your relationships and your connections with each individual person. Another question I often get asked is, what is it that I can do to help my twin ascend faster? This is the one thing you can do, and quite frankly, it is the only thing that you can do. Your twin flame has to be on their own journey, and they need to get there in their own timing. But the one thing you can do, and this is only if you are in a beautifully centered, energetic space, is you can connect with them in the 5D. You can send them love. You can send them all of those beautiful energies that you have now learned to hold in your energetic field. Also, keep in mind that this is not about putting thoughts or energy into another person. Every single person has free will. If your significant other or your twin flame has decided to not do the work just yet, that is part of their path. They need to learn in their own way and in their own time. The problem is that if you feel like 5D communication is a way to manipulate them into doing what you want them to do or something to that effect, it's not going to work. It's just simply not the right energy. The only thing that you can do is almost, if you think about it as lending a hand, if they are already on the spiritual path, if they are already doing the work, then you can offer up assistance by way of sending them love, sending them praise, telling them they're doing a really amazing job, all of those things. You can give them encouragement. But other than that, you cannot force their hand. You cannot force a situation to happen that is meant to play out the way that it's meant to play out. I hope that this video has been really helpful for you to help clear up what 5D communication is and how to do it and what is the best way to utilize it. If you would like a spiritual guidance session with me, I can teach you how to connect in the 5D. You can go to my website at infinitesoulLove.com. You can also book an Akashic record reading with me or an intuitive angel reading. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, as well as TikTok at Infinite Soul Love 1111.